Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session Cybersecurity Curriculum Integrating Penetration Testing into Security Education. I am Shilpa Sharma, and I'll be your host for the day. Before we get started, we would like to go over a few house rules. For our attendees, the session will be in listen only mode and will last for an hour, out of which last 15 minutes will be dedicated to Q&A. Also, an important note, admissions are currently open. For further details about our courses, please visit our website www.eccu.edu. Our speaker for today's session, Sergey Chubarov. Sergey is a security and cloud expert and instructor with more than 15 years of experience in Microsoft technologies. His day-to-day job is to help companies securely embrace cloud technologies. He has certifications and recognitions such as Microsoft MVP, Security, OSCP, OSEP, ECPPT, ECPTX, Microsoft Certified Trainer, MCT Regional Lead, EC Councils, CEH, CPENT, LPT, CCSE, CEI, CREST, CPSA, CRT, and many more. Sergey often speaks at local and international conferences like Global Azure, DEF CON, Black Hat Europe, Wild West Hackin, Fest Security Besides, Workplace Ninja, Midwest Management Summit, a Hack in the Box, etc. Without any further delay, I would hand over the session to you, Sergey.
Thank you. I think for next time we need to make my introduction a bit shorter. All right, so let me go back to the previous slide. So welcome to the session. Here we're going to discuss like the place of cybersecurity. I mean the place of penetration testing in cybersecurity. When we're going to talk about that, I will take a look at that from different perspectives. So I will treat you as students, and so some specific and challenges that you may face when you want to learn cybersecurity, when you want to study cybersecurity. You may study that in university, or you may do it yourself. You may take some online courses. Either way, so what kind of things you should keep in mind, why the pen test may be very important. All right, of course, I will give you some tips. Where can you find a bit more materials, not just the materials, but where can you find some resources that can help you with your pen test preparation? All right, so as Shilpa said before, my name is Sergey. I'm an instructor, consultant, speak at the conferences. I also have some certificates regarding to EC Council. I have few like CEH Master, CPAN, Cloud Security Engineer, instructor as well, and something else. I don't remember everything, but some of them are here. I will be a speaker at the conference Hacker Halted, hosted by EC Council in Atlanta in October. So if you're going to attend online or in person, then welcome. I will be happy to see you, but even not see you, maybe you will see me. All right, so let's take a look. What do we going to cover here? So I would like to talk a bit about pen testing and why it's so important when you study cybersecurity. So I don't know your current experience. So maybe you're a cybersecurity student, maybe you already have some hands-on experience, but let me assume that you just starting your career and you may not have too much experience, because we have many people that switch into cybersecurity from different jobs or from IT, or maybe just in your early ages and you just start in your career. So what pen testing is, so what it does, and why it's important in cybersecurity. So it provides hands-on experience. The key here that to perform the pen test, you will not learn it just by reading the book. So you have to learn it by doing something, by testing that, by exploiting the system, by running some number of processes. And so you cannot just do it by reading. if you get hands-on experience in that, it will definitely help you to build your skills. So with pen test, you may learn how to find out, detect vulnerabilities, identify vulnerabilities, and as the result, help to develop security solutions, so effective security solutions to protect against cyber attacks. Again, the key here is hands-on, and it allows you to learn how to assess and protect against cyber attacks in practical and realistic setting. Quite often when we talk about cybersecurity and pen testing and so forth, and especially when we talk about like EC Council context, there's a common question: what is the difference between like pen test and and ethical hacking? Do we use the same techniques everywhere? Is it pretty much the same or not? So let's take a look. What's the difference between them? So when it comes to pen test, so pen test is more like it's more formalized. It's more formalized. When we have a scope, like you have the specific task, you have like a specific network, number of servers, and what are you looking for in that test. So you really have the formal things that are described. And then you must follow so you must perform the test according to the scope. So, because some students still think that pen test is like when you completely simulate hacker behavior, you can hack whatever you like, compromise any server on the network. Just if you see vulnerability, then you must exploit it. Not really. So when it comes to pen test, we have the really specific scope. Yeah, we still use some techniques that attackers use as well, but we are limited by the scope. When it comes to ethical hacking, so ethical hacking is more like a broad term. It's not really limited to something. It's more like we are using tools, techniques that hackers use, but it's more like a common thing and more like, again, like as I mentioned before, more broad. Because in pen test, it's a specific engagement that we need to provide, and the ethical hacking is more like a approach. But quite often we use those terms interchangeably, and when we talk about pen test, sometimes we talk about ethical hacking and vice versa. So common conversation, that's okay, but you should be aware that, again, it's from the format, it's not the same. All right, and what I would like to tell you here is that when you learn pen testing and cybersecurity, and again, especially pen testing, very important, and that's what you may have, sometimes you may have a lack of this, is demonstration. So quite often, if you like listen to some courses or university or somewhere online, I don't want to give you any specific any specific cases, but when you listen to something, you may see slides, you may hear about some attacks and how effective they could be and so forth, but it's just a number of slides, in theory. Pen test, to really learn pen test, you must try it and you should see it as well. So you should see how those techniques, how those tools can be used, how those techniques can be used, how the vulnerability can be exploited. Because on the slide, so yeah, of course, slides may be important to give you like a theory background, and slides may be very important if you learn something like, I don't know, risk management, risk assessment, how to classify risk, something like more theoretical. But when it comes to pen test, it's really hands-on stuff, and that's where you should try to find as many demonstrations as possible. So from demos, you may see like, okay, so this technique really works. It's not just something that someone put on the slide, it really works. And I can try to repeat that. I can try to do the same. It might work immediately. It may not work right away. I may try again a few times before I really get into this. So demonstrations really important when you learn about cybersecurity, and when you learn cybersecurity, especially the hands-on part about pen test. So since I'm saying that like demos are very important, it would be odd just continue to talk about slides. I have some more slides for you, but I would like to switch to demo and show you some of the things that you may have that you may consider when you learn about cybersecurity and pen test specifically. So let me just jump to my remote host. So here I have Kali machine. And you know what one of the pitfalls I saw when I work with students, they really want, when they want to learn about like pen test and ethical hacking, they really want to see exploitation. So they want to see how things get compromised, how we can get password, how can we get elevated access, how we run exploits and so forth. But quite often students, just in the beginning, like in the beginning of their journey, quite often they want to bypass other steps. And so I just want to warn you, if you really want to learn pen test and you want to, especially if you want to learn pen test, you should be very careful with all the steps. So if you open the course CEH, you will find out the phases of ethical hacking. So you should be very careful with all of those phases, because if you bypass some early stages that may look a bit boring, then it will be really hard to exploit something, because before you exploit something, you need to go through the early stages. Let me show you that real quick. So for example, here I have Kali machine, and let's assume I connected to some kind of network, and I have no idea what kind of machines I have in the network. By the way, I'm going to show you really simple demos. I'm not going to show you any like complicated exploits, so it's not the goal of the course to just show you from the beginning to end the hacking of the machine. Just want to show you a few simple techniques where I want to stress the importance of really follow the methodology. So for example, I don't know what other machines are available in the network. All right, but I know what is my IP address. If I type something like IP adder, I can find out here that my IP address is 192.168.100.10. All right, so that's my IP address. So, and if I'm a member of this network, I may try to see what other machines are available in the network. So here I'm gonna run nmap. If you study a bit ethical hacking, you heard about nmap tools. So it's one of the first tools we use. And again, the usage of the tool itself, for those who just begin to learn about ethical hacking, may look a bit boring. Like, oh, we just learn about the network, about the ports and so forth. That's boring. Let's start to hack. But before you start to hack, you need to know what to hack, what is available, what kind of access you can get. So you must first enumerate this machine. All right, let me just try to run this first command. And so that should tell me about what machines I have on the network. So if I want to compromise something, I need to know what is available, right? So I can see now 3 machines. One of them is mine, of course, so like the 10, but there are 2 more. Okay, so let's take a look. If let's try let's take the first machine. Let's say nmap, and just let's try to make a basic scan 192.168.100.12. I will not add any parameters at this moment. Just want to run the basic scan with all the defaults, and I can see here it has the number of open ports. Yeah, maybe it doesn't tell you anything, but if you are more or less working like IT, you probably recognize that it's something like it looks like a domain controller. So it looks like I found the domain controller. And now I can think, okay, what attacks I can perform on domain controllers? And so what is available if I see those ports? One of the ports I can see here is 3389. Again, it may not be obvious for newbies, but for most who work in IT, you probably heard about this port as RDP. And so port RDP is open. If this port is open, and also there is a port 445, which is port SMB, and those 2 ports can be used to access the machine. So I can try to get into this using one of those ports. Of course, before you run nmap and before you gather this information, you will not be able to plan about other things. So what I can try to do here, I can try to run like Hydra, so which is like the tool for brute force. Then I will connect my usernames in text files and the passwords in passwords. passwords, and then 192, 168, and 112, and the port will be RDPs. The code will be RDP, and try to brute force. Now we found that there is a user administrator. Of course, I made on purpose with this simple password. So we found user administrator with a word password. But again, if we did not check that before, if we didn't check what is available, what ports are open, we will never find it. I hope it makes sense. So that was the first simple example. Let's try something else. Let's try second machine. If you remember, there was address 15. Let's try nmap .15. And we can see two ports are open, 22 and 80. So 22, I can try the same. So let's try the same. So let's say Hydra usernames, but this time I'm gonna change 15 to SSH, 12 to 15, and the RDP to SH. Let's try. And so far, no results. Nope. So it seems like it's not working. It's not working. I mean, maybe it's working, but I don't want to wait the whole session. But I didn't configure it to accept those simple usernames and passwords. So this one is not working. So we need to go deeper into port 80. So let's try, and let's this time try nmap 192, 168, 115, and I will add more parameters. So I will add parameter SV to show me the versions of the software, and SC, which is connect also script, and the port will be also 80. So I'm not going to check all ports, all other ports. So let's run that. I think don't need the space here. 80. What do you want? SC, SV. All right, let's try it in a different order. SV, SC, and the port 80, and this address. Let's try that. Unrecognized. Oh, great. Where's the P? Yeah, the power of demo. Sometimes something might not work. And now it's working. So let's see the result. And now I'm trying to gather more information. So look, now it says that we have a machine, that's the Apache server, and we can see here that that's the version of Apache server. And now if we can see the web server, we can go deeper. We can try to use other tools to find something out. We can try different methods. We can take a look. Like I can try even to navigate to this web server and find out if anything interesting accessible there. So again, information gathering is very important, because if you skip that, then you will probably all other steps will not be very efficient. So please, when you learn about pen test, when you learn about cybersecurity, I mean, not cybersecurity in general. Again, cybersecurity is a very broad term, and and you may find number of things that you may learn only on slides and from the book. If you learn about operations or how to become like effective CISO and so forth, so mostly those processes you may find in the book and on the slides. It's not something that we can do technical. It's not really technical operation. But pen test is really technical. So try to find out demonstrations. If you are the teacher, trainer, instructor, try to give more demos to your students. And one of the things, like as I mentioned before, quite often students they don't really understand the value in the beginning, at least they don't understand the value of initial steps. So it may be important, if you have time, of course, show them complete pictures. So for example, if you show them the penetration testing process, show them the full process, like from the beginning to the end, from the information gathering and till the compromise, till the exploitation and post-exploitation. And then and the stress how important were first steps, because without first steps we could not take other steps. All right, so from here I would like to give one of the ideas. If you want to learn the hands-on, one of the problems that you will face, and that's the big problem that for institutions, for individual learners, I would say for everyone who wants to get some hands-on, you need to have some tools. Most of them are free, so it may not be that big problem. And so quite often there's a free equivalent. Yeah, there are some tools that cost money, and sometimes if you're looking for a job, your employer wants you to have experience with a specific tool, which might cost money. It could happen. But if you want to learn the technique, like how to do a pen test, you don't really have to pay for tools. So most tools are free. And again, yeah, maybe the paid tools can be a bit more well organized and more efficient, but it's not necessary to use them when you study this, when you study the pen test. So what may be an issue? That you need to host somewhere the environment that you wanna test. So that's where I'm saying about the resources. So for example, if you would like to test some techniques and tools and try to exploit some vulnerabilities, you need to have some virtual machines. You must run them somewhere. So you must configure virtual machines. So Windows, Linux, whatever you want to try. So like I showed you before, when I have Linux here, Kali Linux, I have some 3 other machines or 2 other machines. So you need to run them somewhere. And that could be a challenge. It can be a challenge for individual learners. Especially it could be a challenge for institutions if you want to host like 30, 50, 100 students. You must have significant resources for that. So what could be used here? What could be used here? So first of all, of course, you can run everything on premises. So you can take a laptop and install a couple of virtual machines, so like Linux machine with Kali, Parrot, whatever you prefer. You may install the target machine on Windows or another Linux machine as a target, and you may play. You may try different tools and techniques. It's still, if you would like to try the infrastructure, so if you want to learn how to pivot from one network to another, from one machine to another, you may need to have more resources. So in that case, it will require you to have more resources, have some kind of infrastructure that needs to be deployed, maintained. Also, you must have enough hardware resources for that, which could be a problem. Maybe for universities, they may have some resources, but those resources may be already in use, or something may stop from using them. So, but especially for individual learners, if you study yourself, it could be pretty hard to find enough resources to deploy infrastructure. So what can be a solution? Cloud. So cloud computing can be a solution. So first of all, there are a number of services that already give you virtual machines ready to be compromised. You probably all know those services. EC Council has one of them, and other companies have them as well. So there are virtual machines that are already vulnerable to some kind of vulnerabilities, and you may try to compromise them. The problem is most of those machines, they're not very like newbies friendly. So it's pretty hard to test a single tool against them. Or you may want to test specific tool, or you want to test specific vulnerability, but those machines are not publicly available. So there's no like machines that have this vulnerability that deployed for free and you can try it somewhere. So it may not be an option. Of course, it's a really good option if you want to just play and gain your skills and like get a bit more hands-on. But if you really want to test specific tools, specific vulnerability, then you need to do it yourself. So you need to make a deployment yourself. What you can do here, you may use cloud providers that give you some virtual machines like Azure, GCP, AWS, and so forth. And what is interesting? You may say, wait a second, but we need to pay. So typically that involves subscription, and which we need to pay for. It's not much better than to buy the laptop with a bunch of memory and processors. So we need to pay for a subscription. Yeah, it's true, but there are a number of options. How can you avoid payments, especially if you're a student? If you're a student, providers usually give you some options where can you use some amount of money for free. So I gave you two links here, Google and Microsoft. So let me quickly show you how it looks like. For example, if I type here Azure for students. So click on that. And so if you're a student, then you can get $100 per month of the Azure resources, so where you can deploy some virtual machines and with operating system you like and test it yourself. There's no credit card required again. And some services will always be free. So there's a number of things that you may find here for free. The same with GCP, Google. If I type GCP for students, you may find also Google Cloud for students. So that's where you can really, it's like, so here that's for researchers, for faculty and students. So click on apply for credits. And so that will give you some of the amount of Google credits. That may help you to get the resources, build your own lab, and test those tools. Again, my suggestion is to use combination of all, because if something already configured, you take the course from, where let's say AC Council, some ACEH, there are a number of labs already there with a bunch of tools that you may try. But if you want to try something specific, which goes beyond the course, and of course, if you're going to learn something, you should not limit yourself only with the course content. Then you may deploy your own infrastructure and try it yourself. All right, so hope it makes sense, and that's where you can find a bit more resources. So now, why should we make this integration of pen test into cybersecurity education? I told you before that that's about real world experience. I like the phrase, I like to say this phrase again and again, nothing can beat hands-on. If you have hands-on experience, then it costs much more. I mean, it will be much more valuable than have bunch of certificates. Yeah, of course, with certificate you can, it may be a bit more, it's a bit more easy to prove that you have a skill because it's just faster, just show the one paper rather than run the pen test and show your skill, of course. But to really have the real skill, the real hand-on skill is very valuable, very valuable. On next slide, I will tell you a bit more about hands-on. So one more thing that is very important about pen testing and integration to cybersecurity education is that the program for the students, so penetration testing helps students develop comprehensive security programs by identifying and addressing vulnerabilities in systems and networks. So by the end of the course, you will not only just know a lot of names and acronyms and hear about number of tools, but you really will know what to do next. So, okay, you finish the course, and let's say you're starting your you start to work for the company, at least you'll have some ideas. Yeah, of course, there are some adjustments and corrections in the real world, and every company has their own processes, but their own operations. But if you have a skill already that you get during the course, you can start much faster. You might start much faster. So this program become much more valuable for you compared to just the program where you learn about names and acronyms, but don't do really anything. All right. So, and one more thing, certifications and career advancement. So when it comes to integration pen testing to cybersecurity education, it will be also worth with preparation to different cybersecurity certifications. Again, I will have a separate slide about that, about like certifications from AC Council, but quite often students think that the certificate should open the door. So if I have a certificate, I can show as the proof that I'm smart, and then employer will give me a job much quicker. I don't wanna argue with that, but I would say the first that you should get is hands-on experience. So when you get hands-on experience during your education program, then it will help you to achieve the certification. So certification should not be your primary goal. It's just an achievement. It's just a way to show that you have a skill, but it should not substitute a skill. So quite often, unfortunately, maybe unfortunately, but that's just specific of the students that maybe start their career and they want to have certificates as many as possible, and they really want to pass the exam and get certificate just because that's the biggest value for them. Certificate. I just want to get this certificate, another certificate, and the third certificate, and all of them, and many of them, and many others. But if you have experience, if you know how to do things, it's worth much more than you just have a paper and no skills. So much better to have a skill, and then with the skill, it will be not that hard. Of course, depends on the exam. It will be not that hard, but much easier to get the certificate. So if you have the course with the real world experience, and if you learn, or if again, you may have a course in some institution, or you may educate yourself. I don't know what kind of your current position, but if you take this course, then it will be much easier for you to prepare. I mean, to take an exam and pass the exam, which will definitely help you with your career, because now you have certificate and you have a skill. All right. So from here, I would like to expand a bit more about the real world experience and about some certificates that, like popular certificates, at least from EC Council. But again, you're free to choose any certificates. All right, so real world experience. Pen testing allows students to gain real world experience and then define exploit vulnerabilities. And so that will allow you to, when you just start your daily job, or you don't really have to work for someone. There are a number of websites that offer you like some kind of projects where can you participate, maybe look like test for vulnerabilities or bug bounty. So you don't have to really apply for a job if you don't want. Or even if you not yet have a job, but you're looking for it, you may at least in between work with some bug bounties where you don't have any commitments. And that's where you really need to have your skill. Otherwise, so you will not be able to get any bug bounty if you just have a certificate. So they will not pay you for a certificate. They will pay you for the findings, or maybe again, it may not be bug bounty, maybe some kind of project when you want to run pen test. But that's all based on skill. So again, nothing can beat hands-on. But it's still worth to have some certificates because they can just maybe it will be a bit quicker to prove that you have the skill. Because normally to pass the exam and get certificate, we should have a skill to do it. And there are some few certificates that you may take a look at. Again, you may take a look at any certificate, just since we are here in the context of EC Council, so let's stay in this context. So there is the most popular certification that the EC Council has. Yeah, let's be honest, that's the most popular. CEH, or Certified Digital Hacker, which is quite well known in cybersecurity, and some companies require CEH along with other certificates, of course, if you want to apply for pen tester job, or like job, not only pen tester but cybersecurity job. Again, I'm not going to tell you that CEH will open any doors. It could help, of course, but skill is something that you should have first. Otherwise, certificate just a certificate. And if you have like there are two candidates, one with skill and certificate, and another one only with certificate, guess which one is going to have a job. All right, so CEH, quite well known. One of the things about CEH, it's more like the course itself combines both. So slides with lectures and theory. Plus, there are a number of labs where you can try. So that's where we talk about the hands-on. The exam itself, the basic exam is like just questions and answers. But they also have practical part where you can also run some enumeration and find them, like enumerate some target and gather information from them. But if you want to move further, if you already have CEH and you're thinking, okay, so I would like to take a next step and in pen testing, what it could be. So you might take a look at the CPANT. So CPANT is like certification for pen testers specifically. So the course itself also will tell you a lot about security and some pen testing techniques. So you may find some similarities between CEH and CPANT courses because, okay, they both talk about tools, but of course CPANT is more focused on methodology. But you will find more labs related to pen test, and the exam itself will be really only practical, where you need to compromise things. There are no like Q&A where, I mean, multiple choice questions where you need to just choose the answer about tool names. You really need to do things, and that's where you can really demonstrate your skill. And so that's where you need to gather information. That's where you need to exploit targets, and based on that, your exam will be validated. So students, if they have those certificates, it's like they may become more competitive on a job market. But I mean, at least for roles pen tester and security analyst. But again, skill you should come first. Deal. Don't be like a chaser of certificate, like, oh, I want to have a certificate regardless of anything. I will cheat. I will do whatever it takes, but I would like to have certificate. No, just be the one who deserve the certificate. That's my suggestion to you. And again, if you have hands-on, it will be much easier to be that person who deserves this certificate. All right, we should have questions and answers soon. So I would like to just quickly wrap up why pen testing could be very important for education process. Generally speaking, I already talked about that during the webinar. Just a quick wrap up. And the key here is real world experience. Yeah, you may not, even if you don't want to be pen tester. So let's say you would like to be on the other side. You would like to protect systems. But first of all, when we learn pen test, we really do some hands-on stuff, which is always important. And even if you want to be a defender, like security analyst or whatever, engineer, you should know how the things work on the other side. So have this kind of experience is worth for anyone who want to work in cybersecurity, at least some practical cybersecurity. Yeah, maybe if you like on the position where you just need to create a process, operations and documents, have hands-on is maybe less valuable. But for many positions cybersecurity, where you're required to do something, hands-on is very important, and knowing them the pen testing process and have experience in pen testing is important either. Even if you're not going to apply for a job, pen tester job, if you don't want to do pen test, but the knowledge of how it happened on the other end, how attackers can use what techniques and tools can be used by attackers is always important. And if you just read about them, it's not that efficient compared if you use them. Because again, if you're a security analyst and you're looking for alert, you got some alerts in your SOC or whatever it could be, or you're investigating alerts and incidents. If you know tools, if you know how attackers think, how attackers may think, it will be much easier for you to investigate and assume what happened and to predict what other steps attackers might take. So that's important for everyone. Then again, pen testing allow and hands-on and real-world experience help us to develop more efficient program where students may even get this hands-on experience. By the way, I also create my own labs with things for pen testers where things must be compromised. I know how complicated it could be, especially if you want to, learn not only how to compromise a single machine using like typical vulnerabilities, but if there's infrastructure and you need a number of networks, a number of machines of different operating systems. And then attacker not just go to the single machine, but need to have a kill chain to jump from one machine to another. And also that's what pen testers also do. Depends on the scope, of course. So I know how hard it could be to have that in the security program, because it requires a lot of resources and a lot of preparation. But it's worth it, because that's where students really may learn things. And finally, career advancement opportunities. We talked about that before, that pen testing skills are in high demand in the cybersecurity industry, and integrating them into cybersecurity education can provide students with significant career advancement opportunities. All right, so I hope that stuff was informative for you, and why, and I gave you some ideas why you should really start to learn pen test. Again, you may call it differently, may call it ethical hacking, pen test, whatever it could be, but why it's so important to have it in your cybersecurity program. Again, it might be an official program where you're taking the course in the university, or you may just educate yourself. Again, I don't know how currently you're taking the course, but key here that you're going to learn hands-on stuff, and that's super valuable, which will help you with your future career, even if you're not going to become a pen tester, even if you want to do something else in cybersecurity. But this skill always help you. And of course, if you want to take an exam and prove and have like a new line in your resume that you have this cert, again, hands-on experience is super valuable for that. All right, so it's time to check your questions, because we have 15 minutes for your questions, and I'm perfectly on time. I think that's the first time I'm perfectly on time. So let's see if you have any questions.
Thank you, Sergey, for delivering such an informative session, and our attendees share the same sentiments. Now, if you're interested to learn more about our program, do let us know in the poll that's going to be conducted now. Let us know your preferred mode of training, and we will reach out to you soon. Also, an important note, admissions are presently open. For comprehensive details regarding our courses, kindly visit our official website www.eccu.edu. So, Sergey, shall we start with the Q&A?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Okay. So, our first question to you is, what happens as a CEH or CPENT while on duty you harm assets or lose crucial information of your client?
May I see that in text? Would be a bit more easier for me to understand. Can you copy it to the chat?
Yeah, sure. I'm copying the question to the chat.
I wonder if I can share the screen. No, I cannot. I'll show on the screen. So what happens as a CEH or CPENT while on duty you harm assets or lose crucial information of your client? Okay, so by the way, am I showing the screen? Yeah, I show my screen. So first of all, we should have the scope. If we're talking about, I'm not sure why we're asking about certificates here, because CH or CPENT is more like a certifications. You don't have to take a pen test, do a pen test only with those certificates. Anyway, so it's like more like, I guess there's a question if you are a pen tester and you harm assets or lose crucial information of your client. So first of all, it should be a scope. So when you you sign when you consider the rule of engagement, you must consider those rules. So if they tell you, like, in the scope, you may scan only this range of addresses. You may run the tools against this list of servers. So that should be described in the rules of engagement. If it was described and you violate those rules, it depends on your customer. So that's what different things may happen. If it wasn't really described, then that's another conversation with the customer, like why you didn't tell me about this and this and this. So it's always in the beginning. So yeah, if you remember in the beginning we discussed that pen test, difference between pen test and ethical hacking. So pen test is really formalized, and we in the preparation phase when we discuss our formalities is one of the most important steps, because that's where you really need to protect yourself. But really depends on the country, depends on the laws, depends on different circumstances, depend on the customer. It might happen. That's why I don't want to promote anyone, but if you want to work as pen tester for the company that already has experience in pen test, usually they have those process formalized. And so the maybe more experienced employees, or maybe they have documents about this, and they will tell you like what should you do, what questions you need to ask to your customer to formalize this engagement before you start a pen test, to protect yourself. Because really that's one of the things in cybersecurity and pen test, that we really may touch some data that we shouldn't touch, and that's where we can get in trouble. And even customer may have even legal case. So yeah, that's where you need to be careful when you do a pen test for the real customer. All right, how do you prove hands-on real world experience? And when you say gain a skill, what are the best specific skill names? Okay, so how can you prove? I would say one of the most it's not one of the most easiest way to do it is to pass the exam, hands-on exam, because there are a number of exams in the market. They are not bad, but I don't want to even giving you names. You probably know those names. It's not only about EC Council, but in general. We have a number of exams on the market where you just need to answer questions, like there are like 4 answers. You need to choose the right one. And what it proves that you remember a lot of information. It's not bad, it's still better than nothing, but it's not really about your skill. But if you try to some exams, again, let's just say from positive perspective, CPANT, that's where you need to really do something. It's not enough just to memorize things, because if you know in theory how to do pen test, you will not pass CPANT. You need to do it. That's where if you have this certificate, again, not saying that that's only about CPANT, I'm just saying about in general, but since we are in a C Council context, let's just take CPANT as an example. So that's where you can have a hands-on experience, and that, or you may have feedback from the project. If you have bug bounty, if you, especially if you found some vulnerabilities for the well-known companies, and that's one of the, that's what you may have as the proof. Certificate may be one of them most common, but if you found some vulnerabilities, and especially if they assign CVE to you, then you can then show it oh, I'm tough, I found that for Tesla, Microsoft, or whatever it could be. And the second part, when I gain skill, when you say again skill, what are the best specific skill name? I would say the primary skill that we should have. Maybe not the primary skill, but that's a skill that we can't really move on to anywhere, is enumeration and information gathering. Because I even stress you that in the when I show you demos, that first you need to really collect information and analyze this information. So you run the scanner, for example, and then I analyze the output, and maybe based on my experience, maybe I just Google it, but based on the output, I need to think, what should I do next? It will be your guide where to move. And so the more often you do it, then quicker you're going to understand what you do next. Okay, I can see the output from the tool. I think I saw it before, or I saw something similar. And that will help you to move on quicker. And that's really when you then run some kind of tool and you see the output. You may not even use sometimes search engine. You just do it from your memory because you know how to do it exactly. Of course, it's not a problem to use Google or other search engines, not a problem. But I'm just saying that the skill to analyze information and think what to do next, and just to train to think fast, that will be one of the primary skills of pen testers. Because a new vulnerability, there's a tons of tools, vulnerabilities, and you will not be able to remember them all. But when you know what to do in general, what next steps should be taken based on the previous results, that's one of the skills that you should gain. And the best way to do it is to compromise more, to just run more and more pen tests. Even if you compromise machines on one of the services, you still train your skill. Enumeration, information gather, information analysis. All right, so do you really need to know programming to be excellent, I guess, to excel in your pen test career? And that's the first part of the question. I would say you may start without. If we're talking about pen test, not red teaming. So just want to also remind you, I didn't stress that, but in pen test, we're not trying to be undetected. So in pen test, it's the legal environment. That's the quite legal activity. So the customer expect that you will also do something. The antivirus may scream and yell. And then the EDR system also may detect something in their SOC. There will be alert. So we can use standard tools for that, and probably, of course, antivirus, they may block it, and that's where you may need to do something your own. But in general, it's not that critical. So I would say to start pen testing career, you don't need to program. Eventually, when you're already experienced, you just find out that, okay, I have a glass ceiling, and if I don't start learn programming, I will not go any further. So, but to start it, to start, you don't need to. So there are a number of tools available for free, and quite often it makes sense to create your own to bypass antivirus, to avoid detection. In pen test, most of the time it's not super important. Yeah, maybe we need to bypass antivirus just to run things, otherwise it will be blocked. But there doesn't make any sense to stay undetected in pen test. So it's not that important. If you want to go into red teaming, then yes, that's more important. And the second part of the question. And what is your advice regarding CPAND, I guess, CPAND and OSCP? I have both. Do both. What what my advice would be. Of course, it depends on the budget, on your budget, and my recommendation here is just take a look at if you want to work for some kind of company on some kind of market, take a look at the like job offerings and see the requirements, because we have many certificates on the market for pen testers, not only that you mentioned before. Take this exam if you really want to work on this market, because in different countries there are different certs may be popular. So for example, like I quite often work in UK. I mean, for company in United Kingdom, and they have different certifications. I mean, of course, they are aware about CPAND and OSCP, but they also have their popular British providers that are not known in any other countries, but they're well known in UK, in United Kingdom. So take a look what's required by the customer that you want to work with, or company what you want to work for. So okay, so there's one more question. So thank you for sharing great insights on topic. You're welcome. I'm a university lecturer and teach pen test course to BS security students. There is a significant concern regarding ethical and legal consideration. However, we frequently remind students to practice professionalism and never engage in any illegal activity. Would you recommend to ensure this? What mechanisms should we implement as teachers to reinforce these principles? It is not possible to really ensure that your students are going to follow those rules of, I mean, the code of conduct that we call it. What you made, so quite often, again, if you work in university, your students are, let's be honest, they're younger than me and maybe even you. And they really want to have some adventures. So I would say every certification also said that if they will be caught, if they will really violate the rules, then they will be banned forever. They will lose all their certifications and so forth. And sometimes I have LinkedIn, and different people send me messages like, hey, I would like to hack something, what you may suggest. And my suggestion, don't do it, because I see you have this certificate, for example, and this certificate. You know that you will lose them, and you will be banned for life. I'm not saying that they'll go to jail, but you will lose some that is valuable for you, because not every, but most of the providers that give you cybersecurity certificates, they would give it back and ban you for life if you going to compromise things, and of course you're going to be detected. So that's what you may consider, that they will lose something that's valuable for them. Because I guess if they already or maybe even if they graduate from university and this diploma they get, or what do you give them, certificates, you should also take it back because of the violation of code of conduct. So of course, if you do have code of conduct. All right, no more questions. And to be fair, we're running out of time, even 1 minute over. So I guess I should say thank you. Thank you very much for your participation here. It was nice to be with you and answer your questions and give you some ideas about pen testing and why it's important in cybersecurity. So stay tuned. We have more webinars, we have lectures and so forth. So we'll be happy to see you any other time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much again to our wonderful speaker, Sergey, for taking those questions, the last question for the day, and for the great presentation and knowledge shared with our global audiences. It was a pleasure to have you with us, and we are looking for more and more sessions with you, as you said. Now, before we conclude the webinar, Sergey, would you like to give a small message to our audience?
I think I get this message through all the webinar. Nothing can beat hands-on. If you're a student, get hands-on. If you're a teacher, give your students opportunity to learn something hands-on, to get hands-on experience. Maybe it's not formal job, but at least deploy some infrastructure, virtual machines, and so forth, and try it rather than just talk.
Thank you so much, Sergey, for the message to our audience.